It's a red-hot June for the Redlegs. The hitting is on point and the pitching is holding up all right. So how long can they keep this up? We'll ask Mo Egger. Plus,
after the game, you can look at the video. There's a dog pile, and then you just see me running to the dugout and then running out and to the car.
Trains, rain, and automobiles. CHCA outfielder Jack Vogeley had a weekend to remember. Ahead, how he and his family pulled off an amazing double play. And it's been a long break for FC Cincinnati, but it's finally match week. Laurel Pfahler will tell us how the fellas are preparing for Colorado.
From WCPO 9 Sports, this is Sports of All Sorts.
What up? Welcome to Sports of All Sorts. I'm Reggie Wilson. This is what we like to call the slowing down time of the sports scene. The high school and college seasons are wrapping up for the summer around the tri-state, and things are starting to cool off a bit as the temperature heats up. But the excitement is far from lukewarm because we still have meaningful sports going on in the professional landscape. The Bengals continue to gel at OTAs ahead of mandatory minicamp. FC Cincinnati returns back to TQL for a packed house this upcoming weekend. More on them in a bit. And the Reds are still trying to claw their way up the division standings. Came into Sunday back at 500 after a good start to the weekend. Reds going for the sweep against Colorado at home. Bottom second, Eugenio Suarez blasts off. Two-run shot, his 14th this season, gives the Reds a 2-0 lead, and it's time to dance. Bailando. Tony Santillan makes his major league debut. Solid start, 4 2/3, 5K, 4 walks, only 1 run allowed. Bottom seventh, 1-run game. Jesse Winker bosses up. Double scores 2. Reds score another win, 6-2.
It's amazing. It just shows you the caliber of team we are. And we got a lot of baseball ahead of us to play. So I feel like we are headed to where we want to be with a lot of season left to go. So it's very exciting. But, yeah, it's an amazing feeling. We've been fighting. We've been playing really good ball. And anytime you get above 500, that's great.
Jesse Winker with the elite threads there. I love it. So the Reds have won 10 of their last 13, and that's sure to please our next guest, Mo Egger. Here is Red Hot takes on the radio airwaves every day on ESPN 1530. Mo, what's up?
Reggie, how you doing, man? What's up?
Oh, you know, doing well, doing well. Not as well as the Reds, though. With all this winning, do you feel differently about the Reds since the last time we talked on this show?
Yeah, a little bit. I feel pretty good about what this team can do offensively. I feel like their offensive improvement that we spent the offseason hoping for and that we watched sort of unfold over the first maybe 2 months of the season, that feels like that's going to be sustained all year long. And no, you don't expect Jesse Winker and Nick Castellanos to never cool off, but I do think they have enough lineup depth, and I think they're just overall top to bottom going to be good enough offensively to do what they did this weekend, and that's beat up on a bad Colorado team. They scored 27 runs this weekend. I think their offense is going to be good enough for them to hang around. You certainly have to be encouraged by some of the depth we've seen with the young starting pitching, right? Vladimir Gutierrez today, Tony Santillan was not great, but sidestepped trouble. It felt like he was walking a high wire all afternoon long. Hopefully he gets Sonny Gray back. Luis Castillo has pitched better. The big question is the bullpen. What happens to make the bullpen better, either internal options or external options? And look, they lost that series to the Brewers last week, and that was deflating, right? But they did bounce back. You're supposed to sweep the Colorado Rockies. Colorado was 5-24 coming into this series this weekend. Now, you did that. What do? Tough road trip. Got to go to Milwaukee. Got to go to San Diego. This is not going to be easy, but they've at least sort of, I guess, made up for the 7-game losing streak, and they've made up for the hole they've dug themselves back over 500. They've leapfrogged or leapfrogged. I'm not sure what the right vernacular is, but they've passed the St. Louis Cardinals. I think there's lots of reasons to feel pretty good about the roster itself.
All right, we won't talk too much about that. That's a sore spot. I was just in St. Louis yesterday. But anyway, the pitching, especially the bullpen, they've had their struggles, as you've mentioned. They bent but didn't break this weekend. Do you think they can keep it up, or do you think that they need to seek outside options?
They need outside options. And the problem with that is you could pretty much say that about almost every team who's in contention right now. I mean, that to me is the big conversation. What are they going to do to make their bullpen better? Hopefully the optimism surrounding TJ Antone's timeline in terms of when he's going to be able to come back healthy, hopefully that manifests itself with him being able to pitch next weekend. I certainly hope so. But the model they have right now, which is two reliable arms, that's not sustainable. You certainly hope that Amir Garrett can pitch better. You certainly hope that Michael Lorenzen can get healthy soon and rejoin this team. But the reality is they're going to want bullpen help. Last year, the Reds had a pretty deep bullpen. What did they do at the deadline? They still got bullpen help. So especially in a year like this where I do wonder around the sport, how are starting pitchers going to handle the workload that frankly did not exist last year because of a 60-game season? Relief pitching has never been at more of a premium, and the Reds are going to have to go and get bullpen help. The question is, where do they get it from, and what does it cost? And are there internal options, like maybe a Hunter Green? Are there internal options that can be added to anybody they get from outside?
All right, let's switch gears to the bats. You know, Gino is he's heating up a little bit. But we have to talk about the main two guys. How good have Castellanos and Winker been?
Well, just look at the numbers. I mean, they're ridiculous. Jesse Winker, 2-3 years ago, when some people were wondering, God, can this guy hit for power? Can he hit lefties? Is he going to be good enough defensively? Can he run? Look at the amount of people he's proven wrong. You certainly don't expect him to finish with an OPS above 1,000, but he's a pure hitter, man. He can hit the ball out of the ballpark. He's done better against lefties. He hits the ball to all fields. He rarely looks uncomfortable during an at-bat. And Nick Castellanos, we all expected Nick Castellanos to perform better from a metric standpoint than he did last year, but he's channeled the guy we saw in Chicago at the end of the 2019 season. He's been unbelievable. And what I love is not just the fact that those two guys have hit as well as they have, but they also seem to be the emotional core of this team. They play hard. They really seem to care. Those two guys have been great. The question is going to become what's going to happen when those guys cool off. But for now, those two guys, Jesse Winker in particular, those are MVP caliber guys. They're certainly all-star caliber guys. And can you imagine where this team would be if they were merely having good seasons and not great seasons? Fortunately, they're both having great years.
Absolutely. So the Reds head up to Milwaukee tomorrow, 5 games behind the division-leading Brewers. How do you see this series going, Mo?
Well, they're not going to get Woodruff and Burns. Corbin Burns is maybe the best show in baseball right now. The Brewers aren't going to get aren't running those two guys out there. They also use Josh Hader, maybe the best reliever in baseball. They've used him the last 3 days, so it's hard to imagine them using him tomorrow. It would be nice to see this team bounce back after what happened here against Milwaukee and go to Milwaukee and win 2 out of 3. If this team hits the way it has for most of the season, then you have more than a puncher's chance. I would like to think that after what we saw against, St. Louis last weekend, that maybe they can go and have a good road trip, and that will start off in Milwaukee against the Brewers team that just beat them 2 out of 3.
All right, well, we'll pray for St. Louis. Nobody in Cincinnati is going to, but at least I will, okay? We're going to see what happens.
I'm not going to do that. I am not going to do that. I'm not going to lie to you.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm alone. God still answers prayers of one. That's okay. That's all right. Well, Mo, I appreciate you taking the time as always, and we'll do it again soon, all right?
When do I get to sit next to you in studio? That's what I want to know.
Soon, my friend, soon.
Okay, very good. Soon. I miss you.
And we miss you here, too.
I'm sure.
All right, Mo, thanks a lot.
All right, Reg.
All right, an NFL veteran is coming home to coach on the same field that started his football journey. Coming up, how a former LaSalle star, Garrett Selleck, is returning to his roots. Welcome back. Former San Francisco 49ers tight end Garrett Selleck was part of 2 Super Bowl teams during his 8 NFL seasons. WCPL sports reporter Mike Dyer explains why the 2007 LaSalle High School graduate decided to return home to help coach the Lancers this fall.
Roll and you watch tight ends, you say.
Garrett Selleck had always wanted an opportunity to coach football. So after retiring from the NFL last year, the former LaSalle standout pursued a new role at his alma mater. Selleck wanted to give back to a high school football program that helped to set a foundation for his career.
I owe LaSalle a lot. I wouldn't be where I am today without them. So anything I can do to try to repay that, I will. And I think the best thing I can do at this time is just to give them my time. And that's what I'm trying to do.
It's not often that a high school football program has a former longtime NFL player on its sideline. Selleck brought instant credibility.
His knowledge base right off the bat was outstanding. I mean, he's teaching guys things that he learned in his career to help them get better. So obviously it's been very positive when it comes to how our student athletes are reacting to Garrett.
LaSalle senior wide receiver Garrett Patterson said Selleck taught him weightlifting techniques and guidance with the playbook.
It's just crazy to see that we have a guy like that who has so much experience, more experience than probably any other coach we're going to ever have. So it's really great.
Selleck played offensive tackle at LaSalle before moving to tight end at Michigan State. He signed as an undrafted free agent with the 49ers in 2012, paving the way for a lengthy NFL career.
Even for us, I've learned stuff from him just about offensive play, and we talked to him about, well, this is how Coach Shanahan did it, and this is how they did it, and maybe we can or can't do that with regards to a route or tight end or release or some type of scheme, but he at least just says, think about it. And, it's been, we pick his brain a lot, I'll say.
Selleck admitted he was a bit nervous because he had never coached high school football prior to this year, but he quickly reconnected with a program that has meant so much.
My goal is to try to get as many players as possible to have scholarships for college, to just, use this as a vehicle to take the next step. That's my goal. I mean, I just want to help these kids out as much as I can. I definitely want to win, but my focus is on making each kid, better and better every day.
Mike Dyer, WCPO 9 Sports.
All right, thanks so much for that story, Mike. Let's switch gears to the pitch. FC Cincinnati will finally get back in action this Saturday, back at home, as they open the stadium to all fans. FCC beat writer Laurel Pfahler will be in the house too, but first, she's with me tonight for some soccer talk. Laurel, thanks so much for joining me. 21 days since the last match. How's the team preparing after so much time off?
Well, it's been a big balance of, wanting to get a little bit of break because this is the one big break that they get. They're going to be cramming in a lot more matches coming up. So they did want to take a little bit of time, but also they know they have a lot to work on. They only have one win. And there's obviously a lot of things they need to work on with building the partnerships on the pitch and just figuring out what they can do to get things going in the winning direction. So when they are working intense, and they're doing longer sessions, just really focusing on improving their passing and things like that. So they're definitely taking advantage of this time.
Laura, you just wrote a story on Brenner and his transition to his new environment. Pretty big expectations after bringing him here. How's he adjusting and trying to be more of a contributor to the club?
Yeah, he said he knows he's only doing not even half of what he thinks he's capable of and what he showed in Brazil. So he's disappointed. You can tell he's used to scoring goals. He's used to, making a big impact on a winning team. So he's trying to stay patient. He does admit that, it is hard adapting. He's only 21. I think that's the thing that people forget. He's 21 years old, had never been out of Brazil before. So he's adapting to a new country. There's one player that speaks Portuguese. Otherwise, he's trying to kind of communicate through some of the Spanish that he does know, because it is a little similar to Portuguese, but none of the coaches speak his language. So he's trying to learn English. He's doing a lot on his own, but it seems like he does spend a lot of time on his own, just because he is a bit isolated at times. The team does try to incorporate him and really is trying to make sure he's comfortable, but that's a big change for him. And so he's kind of recognizing that he's going through all these changes, and he knows that he can't do it on his own as well. So the team is doing what they can to put him in good positions where he can score those goals, and also just improve the offense as a whole, so he's not the only one with the pressure to get those goals.
We'll see how he impacts matches going forward. All right, so what's the scouting report for Colorado?
Well, Colorado ended up being a better team than expected. It seems like we're saying that about a lot of teams this year. So it's hard to know what to expect. You know, New England, when FC Cincinnati played them in their last game, New England was the top of the table, and it wasn't really a surprise for them. The game before that, Montreal was expected to be more at the bottom of the table, and they were right in a playoff position as well. So it seems the league is really just, it's kind of interesting this year. You just don't know what to expect out of anyone. And that's how the league is supposed to be built, so that there's a lot of parity, and just FC Cincinnati needs to just focus on their game right now. That's the only thing that, you know, they've got to start working on what they do well, and they just need to go out and attack, get forward. And that's the thing that that has been missing since that Nashville game, is just they have been coming from behind all season and falling behind early. And so they need to come out and just go on the attack, and hopefully they can put together some better passing. That's the thing that they're, like I mentioned, they're really working on. Their passing hasn't been all that great, especially the last game. They were giving up a lot of turnovers. So that's going to be key against Colorado. You know, they're going to have a full stadium, so hopefully that is something that makes a big difference, and they can kind of use that energy to really get out and attack and get a goal early.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun, just like this conversation. Thanks again, Laurel, for taking the time.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
So I want to hear from you. Will FC Cincinnati finally give the home fans a win in the brand new stadium? Give me your match predictions. Tweet me at Reggie Wilson TV, and make sure to use the hashtag SOAS. Well, what's greater than winning a state title? Maybe a wedding? Coming up, how one CHCA player was able to make both events. Purple Sunday in Akron today. Elder and CHCA both purple, both playing for state championships. Eagles first, though, in a scoreless game, bottom of the second, when Colin Ames, Rockets one to left center, empties the bases. It's 2-0 CHCA. For what it's worth, the last time they gave up more than 2 runs in a game was almost a month ago. Same inning, Jack Vogeley, the guy who took a private jet to his brother's wedding this weekend. What? Yeah, more on that in a bit. Knocks it just over the center fielder's glove. He catches a private jet to second base, and it's 4-0 now. Here's the final out of the game. Cooper Robertson caps off the complete game with the strikeout, allows just 1 run, and it's time to dogpile. CHCA wins the state championship 4-1. We asked Robinson about that final pitch.
I'm gonna be honest, I threw it, didn't see it, saw the bat behind him, and I just threw my glove in the air. I don't really remember seeing it, honestly.
When we got out to that 4-0 lead up to second, we felt pretty good. You know, Cooper lives in the strike zone. Never worry about him walking guys. Just, you know, hope that he was able to be pitch efficient and you know, he could stay in the game the whole way.
So CHCA captures the school's first baseball state championship. And as Keenan Singleton explains, the moment was even sweeter for one of the Eagles' standout players.
With his eye black smudged and jersey caked in dirt, it was going to be a photo finish to be photo shoot fresh for Jack Vogeley.
Ready to roll?
He literally got there like right on time. Like there wasn't an extra second to spare along the way.
The CHCA junior outfielder was trying to pull off quite the double play. A 300-mile double play from end to end.
After the game, you can look at the video. There's a dog pile, and then you just see me running to the dugout and then running out and to the car.
Mere moments after winning in the D3 state semifinals Friday afternoon in Akron, Vogeley hopped on a private plane to Indianapolis to serve as the best man at his brother Thomas's wedding that evening. It was a time to celebrate, calibrate, and for his dad Greg, a time to compensate. $3,500 the cost to get his youngest child to his brother's wedding.
There were people as high as 12 to 14,000, which it was like, I said to my wife, I go, if it's that much, he's not going to the game, he's coming to the wedding.
Storms in Akron pushed the game back from its original Thursday date, forcing Jack to hit leadoff and clean up with his best man's toast. For Thomas and his bride Emily, it was just another obstacle. They'd already postponed their wedding twice before.
Really a wrench is kind of thrown into things in a good way, but we kind of have to figure out what to do.
After the wedding, Jack headed back to Akron, this time by car, and won a state title. It was quite the assisted double play.
it was probably the second funnest thing of my week, and this, I would have to say, this is better than the wedding.
Keenan Singleton, WCPO 9 Sports.
All right, how awesome is that? Thanks so much for telling that story, Keenan. All right, we'll be right back to wrap up the show. Welcome back. Coming up after the show is In Depth with Graham Benzinger. Check out what's on tap tonight.
This week, we spend the afternoon with billionaire Ray Dalio. The hedge fund titan opens up about game-changing ocean exploration.
You're not going to see aliens in outer space. You're going to see aliens when you go under the sea.
World leaders. You've met with Putin, and what did the two of you talk about? And life lessons.
I think the greatest tragedy of mankind is...
All that's coming up next, right here on In Depth.
All right, thanks, Graham. We're looking forward to that one. Well, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun, but we got to go. I'd like to thank my guests Mo Egger, Laurel Pfahler, and Keenan Singleton for joining me tonight. And thank you to my village who helped me put this all together. Thank you for watching. Let's do it again next Sunday. Until then, have a good night and a very blessed week.